picked for this presentation is assessing the effects of COVID-19 on climate change, the short-term impacts and the long-term implications. My name is Syed Hamza, by the way. So the key focus areas of discussion on greenhouse gas emissions and energy consumption trends during COVID-19, the global environmental changes during COVID-19, and the long-term implications and lessons learned. So greenhouse gas emissions and energy consumption trends during the pandemic. The main changes were in the logistics. There were global flight restrictions, lower vehicle traffic, and decline in public transportation use because people were afraid. This really brought down the greenhouse gases, which is one of the main contributors of climate change. The shifts in energy and demand supply. So changing consumption patterns, mainly people were working remotely, people were having work changes and lifestyle changes where people who were at home were being more energy efficient because they didn't have jobs that could provide for all their energy bills and stuff. Industrial output was also limited, and there was a growth in e-commerce, which meant that less people were going out in their cars and more people were ordering online. So all those things made a significant change in the emissions, which led to global environmental changes. Some were expected and the others were unexpected. The expected changes, improvements in air and water quality. Reduced air pollution due to the lockdowns led to clear skies, decreased traffic, and industrial emissions worldwide. One cool fact I found out was that residents of Mumbai, India were astounded to see that from behind the blanket of smog, a clear view of the Himalayas emerged. There are cleaner waterways, and overall the environmental impact was great. The unexpected changes. So industrial slowdown led to cutting down emissions significantly. CO2 emissions fell by 5.4% in 2020. Methane emissions fell an estimated 10%. However, the atmospheric greenhouse gases, the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, CO2 concentration continued to grow smoothly as it had been in the previous years. Same thing with methane. There was a 0.3% growth in the methane in the atmosphere in 2020, faster than any other year in the previous decade before the pandemic. So the long-term implications and lessons learned. The risks of reverting back to the pre-pandemic emissions levels is that we're going to have the same levels, if not more, of atmospheric greenhouse gases, which would lead to environmental recovery that's increasingly unattainable. Why is that? Because the global population is increasing exponentially, and it's just going to get worse. And this last line I added, I believe we're quickly approaching the Humpty Dumpty junction, where all the king's horses and all the king's men can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So yeah, it's getting out of hand, and we won't have control over the situation much longer. Opportunities for sustainable transformation. So the pandemic demonstrated little changes that we make in our lifestyle can have a big effect on global climate change. Technological adoption. During the climate change, people took control of energy efficient technologies, which really helped reduce their own costs and also help the environment. So this unique opportunity exists to fast track sustainability through combined lifestyle and technological changes. Government stimulus and green recovery packages. So in the economic revival after the pandemic, there was a lot of stimulus packages, and it opened opportunities for green packages to be put up for people to have green infrastructure creating more jobs, and also creating a better sustainability for our future. Strategies for integrating climate goals in post-pandemic recovery. So we need to have our policymakers integrate climate goals into all post-pandemic recovery strategies. We need to promote clean energy. We need to support a sustainable infrastructure and encourage behavioral changes that will lead to less greenhouse emissions and better climate in the future. Changes in public awareness. The pandemic heightened public awareness about global risks and the need for collective action. Remote working is an adoption. So remote working became widespread during the pandemic, and shifting traditional work habits reduced community emissions. Reduced travel impact. Reduced travel during the pandemic helped lower emissions and demonstrated potential environmental benefits if continued. So the conclusions: COVID-19 impact on climate. The pandemic revealed both challenges and opportunities for addressing climate change globally. Sustainable recovery efforts. Sustainable recovery needs focused actions to preserve emissions reductions made during the pandemic. Green policy adoption. Adopting green policies is essential to achieving long-term climate goals in a post-pandemic world. And societal shifts for climate. Embracing societal change ensures collective progress towards sustainable environmental